Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk about an aspect of Black Ops Cold War which you should all be very excited about, but I see almost nobody excited about or nobody mentioning, and it's actually something that I didn't even think of until just a few minutes ago, which is that console players are likely to be playing Black Ops Cold War, or the next Call of Duty after that, at 120 FPS in the very near future. That's literally double the frame rate they have now. That's like high-end gaming PC kind of frame rate. That is very, very nice. And Black Ops Cold War is rumored to support that feature. Now, we know the Xbox Series X and the PS5 both support gaming at 120 FPS, and the rumor, yet unconfirmed, is that Black Ops Cold War will also support this feature, so next-gen gamers can play at a high frame rate, actually higher than quite a few PC users. Before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to myself. If you're buying things in the store, be sure to use creator code DRIFTOR to support me. That's DRIFT0R with the O being a 0. That does technically make the creator code part of this video sponsored by Activision, but if you want to support me, that's a very easy way to do it. Let's get back to the main topic. The idea for this video came to me while I was struggling with Warzone frame rates on my PC. For those of you that watch me stream, most of you know that I play in 1440p, but my game is capped at 60 FPS, which is not a good look for a PC gamer. Everybody can see that 60 FPS stamp in the top, and it's not what I would prefer. I can technically play Warzone at 1440p 144 FPS, but when I do that, I can't stream or record because I am a single PC peasant streamer. Due to lack of money, effort, and perhaps fear of audio problems, I game and stream and record all on one rig and all on one GPU, whereas most of the more popular, famouser, and successful streamers are running multiple rigs, so they have kind of like a dedicated gaming PC and then a little streaming box on the side so they never drop frames or anything like that. And I've been trying really hard to make this single PC setup go higher frame rate on PC, yet still let me record and stream and all that sort of stuff. So I spent all day trying to squeeze the most out of my 2080 Ti, and I did manage to optimize it to bring myself up to 90 FPS while streaming and recording, or a very unstable 120, which we're not going to use, which was kind of an adventure. And I was getting a little frustrated. I was thinking, like, this is a lot of time and effort. You know, I'm supposed to have a super powerful rig. This is supposed to be easy. Everybody can do this. And then my brain said, bro, why are you working so hard on this? Xbox Series X plays games at 120 FPS. And I just had to stop and think, like, my God, brain, you're right. That's a good idea. And then I started thinking, and I realized the PlayStation 5 is also going to play games at 120 FPS. They're going to support 4K 60, which they do now, or maybe even higher. 1440p 120. I wouldn't be surprised if they did 1440p 144, depending on the monitor or kind of TV you had. And it really just hit me like a ton of bricks how much the next generation of consoles is going to change gaming and further bridge that console PC gap. Like, honestly, wow. Like, if I want high frame rates in my game, it might be easier to just get a next-gen console than it is to fool with PCs for now. Or at least until I pony up and finally cough up the money to buy that dual PC that just streams, and then my main PC can run some godly FPS. But for now, I'm stuck at 90. But it's a really cool thought to know that 120 FPS consoles are right around the corner. And then the question you might have is like, well, will my TV even do 120 FPS? And the answer is that some will, some won't, or realistically, most won't. Newer HD TVs tend to have 120 Hz native display, and that's very important for those of you that are unfamiliar with this. The Hertz is basically your frame rate, so 120 Hz is 120 frames per second that it can support, and native means that's the actual raw output. That's the normal mode that the TV's on. There are TVs that have weird overclocked frame rates, and there are loads of them, tons and tons and tons of HD TVs that are 60 Hertz native, which means it can do 60 FPS, but they have this weird super sampling smoothing effect to make it look like it's 120 FPS. It kind of adds a custom motion blur or smooth to your TV. It's a lot of marketing terms, a lot of different names, but it's not true 120 FPS. You never, ever, ever want that smoothing effect on your gaming TV. Generally, I don't like it on the TV, period. It's kind of like adding another layer of motion blur on top of what's already in the game, and it adds a post-processing delay to your image. So one of the biggest issues with HD TVs on gaming on console is making sure that you don't have a big input delay. I'm sure that all of you have played on your friend's projector or this dude with a super old TV, and you like hit the jump button and then then the character would jump 2 seconds later, you just want to minimize that delay as much as possible. So when you turn on super sampling on these TVs to get the 120 FPS of the new consoles, what you're really going to be doing is jacking your input delay up a lot because you're doing different things to the image before it actually hits the screen. And the point is that not that many of the HD TVs that are already in homes will support 120 FPS, but a lot, and I really do mean a lot of the ones on the market now, even on the lower end, have 120 Hz native as common, so it might not be a very expensive upgrade for you to make to play 120 FPS on your new console. So as I was playing, and let's talk about why this matters, okay? As I was playing today, I was testing my various settings, and I turned off my recording setup, I turned off OBS and scaled back a lot of stuff, and I did manage to play at 1440p 144 Hz, and it felt so good to have that high frame rate. My visual clarity went way up, clarity in gunfights was drastically improved, the particle effects and smoke are less problematic when the frame rate's less choppy, and more importantly, I'm pretty sure that I actually started aiming and tracking enemies better with the higher frame rate. Gunfights felt way easier because the recoil that I was seeing and the flinch that I was getting and all the things going on were just smoother. It's twice as many frames, it's double the input, it's just giving better data to my brain to make decisions with. I could comprehend everything that was going on better, and I swear that I was just aiming better today while playing that way. It felt so good, I felt like I could beam people so easily, so I can't wait for console gamers to get a taste of this. I think it's going to blow their minds. I think that there are a lot of even you watching are going to be kind of skeptical and be like, who cares, high frame rate, won't notice, and then you use it and you will subjectively feel it, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I think it's going to make people a little bit better at the game too. So for now, Black Ops Cold War is rumored to have this feature in leaks and other things, but there's been no confirmation that it's going to do 120 FPS on next gen. I wouldn't be super surprised if Black Ops Cold War doesn't support that, since it's basically going to be a next-gen launch title, but then the next COD after does support it. I don't know, but it'd be nice if this generation supported it. And what that means is that all the console players are basically going to be playing on a rig that's equivalent to a high-end gaming PC right now as of recording this video, and they're going to have higher resolutions and higher frame rates than they've ever had before on their consoles, and I think it's going to make them a lot better at Call of Duty overall. Console Call of Duty players are about to be able to see you more easily, react more quickly, and be more competitive in gunfights than they ever have been on any other game because of the frame rate and resolution increases. And because of this, I think that the average competitiveness and the average skill level is going to increase a little bit. You're going to see a difference between the PS4 and PS5 players. I think it's going to be kind of noticeable. This is also going to change how the game engine calculates the in-game variables, since the base unit for the Call of Duty engine is frames. Whatever the frame is like the base building block for their entire physics engine, basically. And in previous Call of Duty games, changing your frame rate can make you run faster, jump higher, shoot faster, and do some kind of weird things. Now, they have done some major tuning to the engine where that's no longer the case. I can't run really fast just by cranking it up to 240 FPS. And the effect that the frame rate has on your gun fire rate is super minimal, like plus or minus 1%. It handles the rounding so much better, but I have no idea what it's going to do at 120 FPS on consoles. That's definitely going to change something, and it might even change my approach to in-depth. Right now, me and Ace and JGod are all basically testing and putting out data at 60 FPS because all the consoles support 60 FPS. A lot of PC players playing at least Warzone because its optimization is, it's rough. It's a big map, we'll say that. 60 FPS. So it makes sense when we talk about frames and milliseconds that most people are choosing to talk about one frame at a time. But in the future, we're probably going to have to test and measure at 120 FPS and talk about that one frame at a time. So it changes the unit of measurement because it's going to be half as long. And I think that this might also finally spark a change on YouTube, making 120 FPS YouTube videos more common. Right now, you see most people doing 1080-60. 1080-60 is the standard on YouTube. Some people are uploading 4K 60. Some people might do, I do 2K. 1440p is basically the same as 2K. I do that. But YouTube does support a lot of other stuff. YouTube supports up to, I think it'll do up to 144 Hertz frame rate. I don't know if it'll do 240. It supports VR and 3D and various scaling and stuff. But I legitimately think that and I know that Elgato has the capture card that can do it. I actually have the capture card on my computer. I could capture PS5 gameplay at 120 FPS edit the video that way and render it out and upload it on YouTube, and you could watch it back at a super high frame rate, which would look really nice if you watched it on a TV or a computer monitor, and honestly, even on a phone, because most, or in an increasing number of mobile devices are starting to support high frame rates. So I think my brain just realized that we are all about to be in a frame rate revolution right now. We are about to all get a massive upgrade. This used to be just the thing for PC gamers to play with, just the PC master race guys to tweak their frames, but it's going to be available to everybody soon. And I think that's going to make content and gaming and just everything so much better. I can't wait. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe.